We'd like to welcome all of you once again to Saturday's Story. I feel like I have a direct word from the Lord for someone today. The Apostle Paul, writing to a people in a dire situation, he told them these words. It was like a light that penetrated through a dark day. It was the light of God that brought help and hope to them through a word. In 2 Corinthians 6:2, he said, "At the time of my favor, I heard you. In the day of salvation, I helped you." Well, here is the time of favor. Here is the day of salvation. The hour of favor has now come. Now, I say, the day of deliverance has dawned. If I've ever believed anything, I believe that it's time for God's people to wake up and realize that it is time for God's favor to be given to His people in this dark and perilous hour that we are facing right now. You see, the enemy has assailed and assaulted and maligned the church with his assassins, these assassins of doubt that has done their best to destroy the faith of God's people. Many of you that I talk to, these assassins of doubt have come against you in the last months and tried to destroy your faith, your desire, your passion to do a work for God. But you see, that enemy who's tried to erode the purpose and the passion of the people to make us feel that God doesn't know where we are. But I've got a word for you today. Did you know that the same word for favor in the Greek, charis, is the same word for grace? Grace and favor are the same words in the Greek. In the very fact that we know that grace is God's unmerited favor toward His people. But grace may be the unmerited favor, but favor has an absolute different meaning from all of that. Favor is when God gives you the ability to do what you normally could not do. You see, favor is God providing the material for a Noah to build an ark to the saving of his house. Favor was Abraham's ram that was caught in a thicket. Favor was Jacob wrestling with that angel to the breaking of the day, until finally the angel said, "Let me go." He said, "I will not let you go." And God changed his name to Israel. You see, favor was Elijah's fiery chariot that took him away to heaven. Favor was Elisha raising the Shunammite son back to life again and restoring to a mother a child that she loved so much. Favor was Ezekiel's boneyard that, as he said, "Oh Lord, can these bones live?" And yet it's a story of restoration, not only for Israel, but for the people of God in this last day. Favor was Daniel's lion's den. The lions could not eat him, because when you have favor, God will give you divine provision and protection that you never had before. Favor is the three Hebrew children in a fiery furnace that the fire could not burn them, because when you have favor, there is divine protection. Favor is Peter's cloven tongues of fire on the day of Pentecost. Favor was Paul's angel who appeared unto him in a Euroctolan storm and said, "Abide with the ship, for those that abide with the ship will not perish." And may I tell all of you, if you will stay with the church, you won't perish either. You see, the apostle said, "At the time of my favor, I heard you." In other words, now I really feel that through this dark day that we have come, God is bringing the church to a place of favor, that He wants to speak this into our life. Favor is the scepter God is sending out to someone like He did Esther, that preserved an entire nation. You see, the very fact is, favor will bring supernatural increase. I feel that. I feel like telling someone that God's favor will bring supernatural increase and divine promotion for those people that have it. Genesis 39:21, "But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keepers of the prison." It was favored that delivered Joseph and exalted him to the office of prime minister and caused him to preserve an entire nation. You see, when evil tried to seduce him and turn his back, and to cause him to turn his back on God, it was Joseph who took a stand against that seductive spirit and said, I will not yield to that. And because of that, God gave him that favor. You see, it's God's favor that elevates you and takes you to another level. It's the favor that invokes the blessing and the protection of God. You see, Psalms 5:12 said, for thou wilt bless the righteous with favor. Wilt thou compass him? I'll compass him with a shield. You see, this word is true and this word is real. And this brings me today to Saturday's story. The setting is Lawrenceville, Georgia. A man was praying one morning and the Lord quickened him and said, I want you to go and purchase 5 small Bibles. I want you to take these Bibles and I will instruct you where to give them. He went and purchased the Bibles. The bookstore was riding down the road. He was approaching a red light. It was about to turn red. And just before it turned red, all of a sudden, the Lord said, the car beside you, I want you to give those Bibles to that family, because it was a husband and wife and 3 children. The light turned red. He flagged them down, let the window down, and the man said, can I help you? He said, sir, said the Lord wanted me to buy 5 Bibles, and he told me to give those Bibles to your family. Would you accept these Bibles? Well, the man was a Christian man. He said, well, sure. So he hurried and got out and gave them the Bibles and was talking to them about how the Lord had prompted him when the light turned and they sped away. 10 miles down the road, all of a sudden, the front tire on their van blew out. And when it did, the van began to flip down interstate. It flipped 4 different times. It threw the man out of the van into a ditch. The van was torn to pieces. They were driving some 75 miles an hour when this happened. The paramedics, the officers rushed to where they were. And when they got there, the family was, there they were. There was no injuries in any of the family members. Beside each one of them lay that Bible. The Bible was right beside each one of them. They looked and saw the man in the ditch. He was face down, not moving. And they just knew it was over for him. They ran to where he was at. And laying right beside his face was a Bible open with a word said, though the enemy come, I will protect you. There that man laying, they thought he was dead when all of a sudden he began to move and looked up. And he told him, he said, when I was flung from the car, the man who just gave me the Bible, I hung on to the word. And it was the word that shielded me, that kept me alive. I would be dead today if I had not have had that word that I clung to. I don't know who I'm speaking to today, but God's got a word for someone. It's a time for the scepter to be extended. It's time for you to be as though Esther said, if I perish, I perish. If I die, I die. But I am going to be a part of the favor of God. And that favor that's going to be extended and going to cause divine protection, provision, promise is coming, because it is a time. It is a time for God's favor upon the people of God. We've gone through too much. We've suffered too long. And the Lord said, give them this word, for it is time for my favor to be extended. The scepter is being extended to someone today. Please hear this word, share it with someone, and cling to that promise. Cling to that word. Because you see, in the time of trouble, when it seems like there is no help or hope, there is a word that will shield you in the time of favor. God bless you today. Share it with someone, please. God bless you is our prayer.